Scott, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, I figure we'll bounce back and forth, division by division. Let me get mine going here. We'll start in the National League East and then go to the American League East.
Okay.
And I'll go from the basement up. And if anybody wants to chime in, obviously we want to hear what you think as well. Well, so the East, it seems pretty straightforward to me. I mean, the Phillies are not even trying to compete this year. They are rebuilding. The Braves are in the same situation, but they have a lot more talent in place currently. Mm-hmm. So I say Phillies in the bottom, then Braves. Marlins have done a lot of nice signings recently, extensions and signings. I like how they're built. I don't know what's going to happen with Jose Fernandez. He seems to be quite unhappy with the team. So I think they're going to improve a lot on where they were last year, but I still don't see them getting past the Nationals, who underperformed last year. I think they'll pick it up this year. So I've got the Nats in second place, and you can't knock the pennant-winning Mets. I think they'll be back there again this year. So I do see the Marlins improving a lot, but I see the Nationals having a good bounce-back year, but no one unseating the Mets, which is kind of funny because that's the exact way the teams finished last season as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually thinking the same thing here. I have it exactly the same way. As that Philadelphia is going to finish last, followed by Atlanta. They're going to go fourth. Third will be Miami because Miami is kind of like, you know, do I or do I not? They are on a cusp, but they're making some good moves. I like what they've done in terms of some of their signings this year and the off-season moves. But I think they're not ready to go to the next level. This division's coming down to Washington and New York. And I think New York's clubhouse, they like the Kool-Aid better. It tastes better than it does in Washington. And I think they know after going through it once last year and what it takes to get to the World Series, I think that they are going to have a little bit more confidence and swagger. And they're going to like kind of be what the Royals were last year. Hey, we want this back, even though we've made some changes. I just don't see Washington. I think they got to clean up the clubhouse internally before they can.
Sure. Let's take a look at the AL East.
I think Baltimore and Tampa are going to fight it out for last place, with Baltimore winning. I think the Yankees.
Think Baltimore's going to be in the basement?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it's that bad over there. I just don't think, it all starts with, it trickles down with the front office, down to the management, into the clubhouse. And right now you got players talking on behalf of the front office saying certain players are coming over and they aren't. It isn't true, and they're all looking like idiots with egg on their face. There's a lot of tension in the air in Baltimore, and I think that's going to contribute to a negative effect for the season. They're already losing going into the season. They look like idiots. They don't know what they're doing. I just don't see how this is going to come together. Maybe the players will have to take control, but how do you do that when you have Buck Showalter as your manager? Who's I'm not saying he's a control freak, but like he's very pragmatic.
He's
he knows
on top
what he's
of things.
doing.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say Baltimore is probably going to finish last.
Okay.
I think the New York Yankees will be third, Boston will be second, followed by Toronto. And I really think it'll really come. Boston and Toronto are going to fight it out, man. I think it'll go down to the wire. Personally, it's going to be a fun division to watch, actually. But that's how I would have it.
Okay. So I've got the Rays in last place, Yankees then second to last. Mm-hmm. They just haven't done anything other than picking up spousal hitter Aroldis Chapman. And then I've got the O's and Red Sox being very close fighting over second place. Red Sox I do think are the better team than Baltimore, but I don't want to sleep on Baltimore even though I don't really like how they handled their offseason.
Right.
And to me the Jays are still easily the team to win this division. They lost some pitching this year to Boston of all places, but they are just such a team of all-stars.
National League Central, finishing last, I think it's a toss-up again. This is between Milwaukee and Cincinnati. Both are basically, Cincinnati has admitted they're rebuilding. Milwaukee is kind of like, yeah, we are, but we're not. Who knows? But I think these two teams really aren't going to make a difference or make a dent in what the other three are doing, and those are the Cubs, the Pirates, and the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to give the Cardinals the benefit of the doubt because they are the champions from last year in the Central Division, in their own division, so they get top dog seat. But beyond that, I don't think it's all they're getting. You have the Pirates who I don't think the Pirates. I think they're going to finish third. I think the Cubs finish like really close second. And I think the Cardinals are gonna. I'll give them first place, but I also think that first place means that they're an early exit also in the postseason because I mean that's a competitive division, but like I don't know. I just don't see Pittsburgh in the playoffs this year.
No. Yeah, we'll get to playoffs, but I'll spoiler. I do agree with that. So I've got the Brewers in the basement. They have been the most overt about their selling off of everything. Reds have definitely been trading a lot as well, but the Brewers just don't have that much behind. The Reds, I'm not gonna. Even though the Reds finished in last place last year, any team with Joey Votto on it, I think I can't put them in the basement. So Pirates, I think, will have the biggest drop-off of the top 3 teams from last year. Partially because the Cardinals, they were a great team last year that suffered with a lot of injuries. Still ended up with about 100 wins, maybe it was 100 exactly.
They had 100.
100 wins. I think the odds are you can never predict injuries, but if hopefully they got their injuries out of the way last year and they'll be a healthier team this year. If that's the case, even though they lost Hayward. They lost Lackey. I don't think Lackey was that important, really. They've lost some people, but if they're healthier, I think they're going to be a much stronger team, which will come at the expense of the Pirates due to the unbalanced schedule. I have the Cubs winning the division, the Central.
Interesting. Nice. I mean, to me, everybody is, not everybody just like you. I'm just saying, a lot of people are picking the Cubs this year because of their success from last year. And they have that. They've earned it. Don't get me wrong. I am just not going to join the bandwagon. I am from Chicago. I grew up when everybody said, this is our year. Next year is this year. It's here.
Sure.
It's happening. And then you drink that Kool-Aid and you see these guys fail. And it's sometimes as early as June, April, late as September. But they always fail. And every year you're told, this is the year. Sooner or later you're just going to say, you know what, dude, hey, I'm glad this is the year. Why don't you just do it already? And when you're done, and after you've done it, call me, and I will be here to give you all the accolades in the world that you have earned. But until that happens, I'm not joining the bandwagon and saying, yep, Cubs are winning it all. Because that's what MLB is doing right now. Like when you watch the network and you see everybody on ESPN.
What I do like is that last year, they started out, they were doing what we were expecting. They were a fun team to watch, young team. They were good, but not yet put together, and they were slipping and stumbling and playing some good ball and stumbling some more. Now they've got the team together that they were slowly calling people up to delay service time. So basically now they're starting this season at full strength, I feel.
Right.
So I think that the better start to the season will help carry them.
I think you're right. And actually, if the Cubs stay healthy, there's no reason why they should not win their division next year. So. But Hutch says the Cubs always disappoint.
I do have a prediction coming in from Rose Finnegan, who predicts that they will go to several Cubs games and spend way too much money drinking Old Style.
That is a prediction that
I'd
is
endorse
probably
that.
very accurate. The guys in Vegas they're not even backing those odds. They're walking away from it. They already know it's a loser for them. And they're conceding.
No more bets. No more bets.
They're like,
this window is closed.
We can't do this anymore.
So in the AL, and it's been said a lot of times before, and I'll just echo it again. This is one of those divisions where any team can
win it.
Possibly win it. It's going to be such a tight race through and through. It's going to be maybe more parity in this one than any other one, where all teams will be around 500. I've got the Twins in last place, which I hate putting the Twins in last place because Sano is an amazing young power hitter. And I think he's the type of guy that can turn the team around, turn a game around with one swing of the bat. I've got the Indians next. As I said last episode, they've got great pitching. They've got great young hitters. I just think they're one season away from being at the top of the heap.
Right.
Tigers are next. So I've got Tigers in third place. Again, they've been dealing with some injuries, and all those players are 1 year older. They did pick up Upton. They did pick up Zimmerman. And they may beat up on each other. Oh, the teams will all beat up on each other.
Oh, yeah,
exactly. I thought you mean the Tigers players.
Yeah.
I'd tune in to that. So I've got the White Sox in second place, and perhaps a few things have to go right. There's going to be some rebound seasons, I think, this year, because Melky Cabrera was better than what we saw last year. expect anything from LaRoche, so even just getting him out of the lineup for most of the season will be a huge improvement.
Yeah, numbers is some people just have nowhere to go but up.
Yes, by even addition by subtraction.
Avisel Garcia, your table's ready. You know?
See, I hate all the hate that he's getting.
I know.
Because for the first half of the season, he was actually our most consistent hitter.
Yeah. Well, that happened to Jermaine Dye in 06.
Yeah.
Jermaine Dye was amazing first half of 06.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. The Royals repeating as the champions.
Okay.
This season.
I like that.
Of the division.
The division. So, here's what I did. I agree with Scott. I think Minnesota and Cleveland are the ones that are really developing themselves right now. I'm going to put Minnesota at the bottom of the heap right now as well. They will finish last, but they will play a spoiler. They are going to make somebody in this division is going to have a hellish of a year playing Minnesota. I don't know which team it's going to be yet, but they're going to get someone's number and ruin that team's season. It will be either the Tigers, the White Sox, or the Royals. That's what Minnesota's will do this year. They will destroy one of those three teams this season because they'll just get their number and play them like piranhas, as Ozzie Guillen used to call them.
Yes.
And
accurately.
That's what I think Minnesota's... If there's one thing, you can't count out their minor league system. That's one thing Minnesota's always been really good about, developing their people from within. And they bring them in. It's like, these guys are grinders because it's instilled
they're brought up right.
Yeah, you're not staying if you're not grinding. So they're not going to be a powerhouse. They're not going to be a great team, but they're going to be that team that's going to say, you're not going anywhere. And when you got Molitor, managing the team, expect the turnaround to be quicker than say 10 years, or whatever you want to give them. 10 years is way too long.
Oh man, if the White Sox could somehow trade for Molitor
and
to be coach,
straight up, for
baby.
Ventura, we'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Scott, you're right. Cleveland is like that team that's kind of a little bit on the bubble. They made some changes. They got a really great manager in Francona. But they're just one or two steps away from becoming that team that's going to,
I think they know that too.
Yeah.
That's why they went out and they did a lot of one-year signings for veteran players to be good clubhouse presences. These are not people that are going to impact the team great as far as stats are concerned.
Right.
But so now next year, those guys, Uribe, Davis, Napoli, they will no longer be on the team,
but you're going to have players who are
mentored by him.
Exactly, and this is a big picture kind of approach.
I like it.
I give Detroit third place because Cleveland and Minnesota aren't there yet. That's it. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in Detroit that they've had a fall. It's been a slow fall.
Yeah.
I don't think they've hit rock bottom yet where they can start climbing again, and that's why. I just kind of have them stagnant. I don't really see them going anything more than third place.
Which last year they were last place, so that's
Yeah, that's a little.
It's actually being very charitable.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I'm making it sound like it's a bad thing. It's actually really good for them. But Scott, you have Kansas City finishing first. I have the White Sox finishing first, and the reason I have that is I'm very biased about the White Sox, and I just want them to win all the time. No, but seriously, I will back this up. Is that the White Sox have a lot to prove. They have improved this ball club in a very resourceful way. There's still room for improvement, but they also are very comfortable with who they have.
Yeah.
The people, the places or the pieces that people think that they should. Totally. But I think the pieces where people think they should improve upon the most, like outfield, or we need another infield.
I'd start with catcher. That was the biggest need, and they addressed that immediately.
They got that. Then they, who else they went on? They got a third baseman.
Yeah, Todd Frazier and Brett Lowry.
And then Brett Lowry can play second base, or even throw him at third, or if you want to give Frazier a day off, or put him at shortstop. You have, then you have Jimmy Rollins, who's going to be there for Tyler Saladino. So there's a lot of cool things going on right now in Chicago. And again, these guys have a lot to prove based on their performances from last season. Jose Abreu, the sophomore season's gone.
He is,
so this is all great. You have Chris Sale's the heart of the rotation, and you got big years.
And kind of like we were talking about with the Cubs, guys getting pulled up later in the season last year are now getting full seasons, and one of those is Carlos Rodon.
Yes, he's going to get a first full season in the majors. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, and I read an article this week that was trying to find the most comparable player, most comparable pitcher to compare him to as far as how their pitches move and what pitches they have. The most accurate comparable was Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
They got a very similar movement on their slider. If Rodon can make his changeup work better, according to this, it was a Fangraphs article. And those guys know how to analyze data.
For me, I'm putting Kansas City at second place.
Sure.
And here's why. Kansas City came out of nowhere 2 years ago, got into the playoffs, steamrolled their way through, and lost in the World Series. Came back last season with a chip on their shoulder, and boy, did they prove themselves. And they won the World Series, and I just think there's a hangover going on in Kansas City right now.
It's very possible.
That's why I would say there's going to be that adjustment, because they played their hearts out for 2 seasons to get that one World Series. So, to me, that's like, all right, sooner or later, you guys, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And
and this is too tight of a division for any slippage.
So, like, if there's one, exactly. So that's where I'm going with, all right, White Sox, you got something to prove. That's the difference maker here. In the National League West, let's see. Okay, I am going to sit here and tell you a couple things. San Diego is going to finish last. And maybe their approach is, hey, let's just wait and see how things go until midseason to make any moves. But they've been relatively quiet in the offseason in a division that has been very active. And that tells me that you guys are just kind of waiting to see how things go. You know you're not going to compete very well in this division, so you're going to minimize your damage. Colorado, I think the same thing. They could be in last place too, but I'm going to give them the bump on this because they do have some talent that they can move around and make their team better with at midseason. I still don't know what San Diego has, so those are my justifications for having those guys. San Diego in the cellar, followed by Colorado, that's right just a step above them.
We act like we do. We're very good actors.
Oh yeah, we don't know shit. Honestly, it's all confidence, really. But then I have this is where it gets really tricky because these next 3 teams they really were big players in the offseason. They have great talent, and if everything's right, they easily any one of these 3 can win their division. But you got to pick a winner. So, and here it is from 3rd to 2nd to 1st place for me. I'm going with San Francisco in 3rd place. The Giants made some really good offseason moves. They brought in Samardzija. I think he's going to do well in that ballpark. I think he's going to like playing on the West Coast. But I just think that the Dodgers are going to finish 2nd because they are the international Dodgers, and They do have some good talent on that team.
Yeah.
And they still have some strong pitching. So I just don't think that they're going to go away. It's going to be a fight between those guys. And I'm giving the Arizona Diamondbacks 1st place in the National League West because not only did they make the moves this year, they got Greinke, but they have people in place. And I'm not talking just players. You got Tony La Russa over at the head of baseball operations, followed by former pitcher, former agent, now general manager Dave Stewart, who worked and pitched for La Russa. These guys drank the Kool-Aid together in Oakland, and they did very well with it. Now they're serving that same Kool-Aid in Arizona, and here they are. They got the team they want. They're really happy with it, and I just think that team is believing that they can do special things. And that goes a long way. And they do have talent, so I'm giving them 1st place.
And Paul Goldschmidt is an absolute beast. He's a monster.
Oh, my gosh.
We actually have a couple things switched around where I'm at here. I got the Rockies in the basement. I like the Padres. They don't have as many stars. I mean, the Rockies have Carlos Gonzalez. They've got a couple of big players still. However, I feel like the Rockies have just a more even team throughout, so I think that'll lead to more wins. However, as you were saying, these 2 are battles. So the Padres have Matt Kemp. They've got Alexi Ramirez. I'm going to go see a Padres game this year just to watch Alexi, and hopefully he can hit a ball down the line and run for a mile.
I'd love to see that. That was the signing they had with Alexi Ramirez. Yes. I'm going to remember. I'm sorry, Alexi. With you, the top 3 are going to be really tight, and it could come down to coin flips. But I've got the Diamondbacks in 3rd place. Which is, I'm sure it's a huge letdown for the Arizona fan base because they did make so many great moves, but I figure give them a year to gel. Yeah.
And then they'll be more, I don't know, ready to go forward.
Mm-hmm. I don't. There's a few components in place, but not all. They're not running on all cylinders.
Yes.
That's the way to say it. Thank you.
I've got the Giants next. You can never sleep on them. They are perennially valid in October. And I've got the Dodgers at number 1. They lost some pitching, but they also picked up a lot of good, solid, more than just innings eaters. I mean, maybe first and foremost they were innings eaters, but they're people with more upside than just that. So even though they lost Greinke, I think they've addressed their rotation very well.
And they have an influx of outfielders as well they can dispose of, and if they had to make a trade or if there's an injury, they're in good shape.
Yeah, they've got. I think Alex Guerrero is going to be traded off, and if they get anything of value, that would be good because they're kind of out of place to put anyone anyway right now. So if they can just get some good minor leaguers for them, and as I was going to say, they have a solid lineup. Now we go to the American League West. I've got the A's in 3rd, Mariners 4th, Angels. They didn't really do anything at all to help themselves, but they do have some solid. Mike Trout alone will get you 50 wins.
Right, exactly.
I think the Angels will be a lot closer to the Mariners. I think the Angels will be a lot closer to 4th place than 2nd place. I guess I'll say it that way.
Wow.
Then I've got the Rangers in 2nd and the Astros winning the division.
I like it. All right, cool, nice, excellent. All right, real quick on my end, I have basically I'm going with like Seattle and Oakland will battle it out for the basement with Oakland winning last place. And then I have the Angels pretty much in 3rd place. They've been through a lot. They got a couple salaries that are really big that they're paying for, and they aren't even in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So I think there's still some tension in the air with the Dipoto era is over, but they're still moving on from it. And it seems like they're having a hard time leaving.
Yeah, they're kind of handcuffed. First with the Vernon Wells contract that they couldn't get out from under, and then they throw a bunch of money at Josh Hamilton, and
it's just kind of like stampeded. But now they're also, we're moving on. Great, I'm happy for you. But at the end of the day, you guys are in a really, really weird place right now, and I think it's hard to move forward and be successful until that's all resolved. So that's why the only reason they're not in last place is because they got some like Seattle are that bad.
Yeah.
And I think they've created an atmosphere in Anaheim where you may be willing to spend the money, but I don't know if I want to be in that clubhouse because it's such a the pressure cooker that it is. And that's probably because of Socha. It's all in. But I do have my 2nd and 1st place teams. We reversed them, man. I have Texas going and winning the West, American League West, the Rangers.
You've got another repeat of last season.
Pretty much, yeah. And then Houston going to the playoffs as a wild card contender. That was the other one. But we're going to be on my thing here. But Texas, I have going to win the world. To win the Western Division.
Yeah, Houston is just such a great young team. They spent last year coming together and gelling, and I kind of similarly to the Cubs. I think now they're going to hit the ground running to start the season next year.
So that's who we have.
Who are the 2 wild card teams from each division or each league?
Each league. For me, I actually.